I suppose people want to know why I got this column going. What was the significance of a coffee cup? You know, I do a column here in Cochrane called Coffee with Warren. Cochrane's just a small town of about 13,000, 14,000 people. I publish the column in the Cochrane Eagle newspaper, which reaches virtually the entire community. What a great way to experience a small town where everybody feels they know you on a first name basis. They sit down with me over coffee. People I've never met before sit down with me over coffee as if we're longtime friends because they see my picture and the column in the paper. That's when the column works best, and it's really quite a delightful thing. My column this past week was about high society in Cochrane, i.e. high society, very friendly. At the post office, in the coffee shops, at church, everywhere on the street. People will just come up to you, tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hi, Warren," or "How you doing?" And total strangers sometimes will be reading my column. They see my picture there. They assume they know me, and they come up and just start a conversation. They'll sit down at my coffee table at any of the coffee shops and carry on a great life story with me. Some years ago, I did a column on adult literacy, something that I'm very concerned about, literacy in general. And I used the example of Bill Keane and his great cartoon called The Family Circus. Often in his cartoons, he would use the ghosts of people in books coming off the bookshelves and embracing the readers. And so he's got this little character called Billy, this little guy in his cartoon. And Billy would sometimes be pictured in a library, and you'd see the ghosts, the images of centuries of people coming out of those books and embracing and dialoguing with Billy. And so I sent a copy of this column down to Bill Keane. He was in Arizona. I got a letter back from him. A delight. His little character, Billy, put a little P.S. on the end of the letter. "Is there a hot chocolate with Warren?" And that's a keeper I hold on my wall. I suppose people want to know why I got this column going. What was the significance of a coffee cup? It's a great deal of significance because it's a sacramental kind of a thing for me. Each day from Tuesdays to Fridays, I attend 8:30 weekday Mass. And the sacred cup mediates man's heart, with God's heart. There's a sense of mediation there, which then I try to echo through the rest of the day, having coffee from coffee shop to coffee shop, sitting at a table with wonderful people, in which the coffee cup on a horizontal plane mediates your heart with mine, back and forth. So what starts out as a vertical mediation becomes a horizontal mediation. And in a sense, I wind up sipping coffee with the presence of God and all those wonderful people who sit down with me over coffee day by day and have made this column work. One of the other great moments in writing my columns was back in 1999. I was just finishing a column on Father Lucien Kimball, a Franciscan friar who had was located up here just outside of Cochrane at Mount St. Francis Retreat. And aside from being a great lecturer, especially on science and religion, he was regarded as a world-class astronomer. In fact, part of the night sky is named after him, Kimball's Cascade, a certain asterism up there. And I had just finished an interview with him on the phone. He was over in Saskatchewan at the time. I did my column, and I phoned back to him a couple days later just to get his final approval on it. He wasn't there. And I had found out that he had just passed away between the time I interviewed him and when I was going to go to press. One of the neat things was, at his funeral, he had, and it was at the cathedral in Calgary, members of the Royal Astronomical Society from all over the West, Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, the RASC, had their telescopes set outside the cathedral so that when people came out from the evening memorial service, they could look through those telescopes and take a look at the part of the sky named after Lucien Kimball, Kimball's Cascade. What a tribute from the scientific community. In particular, he had a special ability to bring faith and science together. In many of his lectures, he would say that there really is no conflict in our modern society. So many see a tension. He said there wasn't any. He said Both science and faith ask the question, why? But they mean something very different by that same question. Science means by why, how did this thing or that thing come about? The mechanics. When religion asks the question why, it asks for what the purpose is, what is the meaning. To me, that's the major difference between religion and faith, and it's also the point of commonality. A&W most of the mornings at 9 o'clock and get a half a cup or a third of a cup. I stop over at Coffee Traders. I get a third of a cup, a half a cup there. And later in the afternoon, I might go over to Java Jamboree and I get a half a cup there. And if I stop over at HQ at Home Quarter, HQ there, I might get a half a cup there, or any of the other places.